John Boyle, want to start us off?
Sure. Pete, just a day after you met with the team, talked to the team. Just what's your takeaway getting out of here with the guys and kind of looking into 2021?
Well, gosh, there's a lot. There's a lot that we dealt with, and these guys are going to continue to deal with. Staying healthy, and we've been after it all year long, and that's a major concern right now. That everybody goes home, and when those that leave the area, that they take the lessons that they've learned and the discipline that they've acquired, and share it with their families and the people that they're going to be around, and be really, really careful how things move forward. That has not lost its emphasis during the course of this year, and so that's the start of the message to them is we got to take what you've learned and how you've grown in your awareness and your conscience, and maintain it. So that's one. We had an excellent football season. We lost this last game, and we've struggled through a lot of challenges, and we made it through it. And defensively, we were struggling early. We fixed it. Offensively, we were rolling early. we wound up not doing as well offensively, so we were frustrated by that. We're really frustrated by the whole year in that regard, that it wasn't a clean year all the way through. But I'm not letting this last game dictate the way we evaluate this season, because that's not what we should do. We did too many good things and learned a lot and have a tremendous future in this club right here. The guys that are here, the youth that's emerging, the leadership that's still here, that's part of it, really gives us a chance to have a really bright future. And so we have to deal with the issues of the game that happened here and all that. Well, I didn't do it yesterday. We're starting today, and we'll work our way through the evaluations and all the work that we have to do. But we have grown a lot as a team and as a club that moving forward, and I'm excited about the future.
Ian Furness.
Hi, Pete. Do you anticipate any changes to your staff, and how would you evaluate your coaching staff this year?
No, and I would never anticipate changes in my staff and share that with you. I wouldn't tell you whether we're doing it or not. We got work to do. We have a ton of evaluations to do. We got to figure things out. We got to make decisions on how we're moving forward and all that. And that's just beginning, So we got to get better in a lot of ways, and that's part of what every offseason brings. And those challenges are here just like they always are.
And if I could follow up, it seems like a lot of the players, as they discuss the COVID protocols this season, I'd almost use the word exhausted. And you mentioned it a minute ago. Did your team do anything different than other teams? You were far better in terms of staying healthy, but just it felt like there was a mental wear on those guys as well as physical, especially, as the season wore on.
Okay, what I would like to say about this, that's absolutely the facts, that it's going to wear on them, but we can't go there. We ain't done. We didn't finish anything. We're right in the middle of that stuff, and I really don't have much patience for giving into this thing. That was it's too hard. It's because it isn't over, and so it is hard. It is a challenge. Yeah, heck yeah, it is. It is for everybody. And but we also found that by facing it up and going for it and not backing off the challenge and not succumbing to the nature that, oh gosh, it's so tough, and then weakening, we stayed strong. And that's, I worry right now as our guys leave, that they won't have the support system around them to keep them strong, because we figured it out how to deal with it here, and it's just plain diligence every freaking day. Everything you're doing, and it doesn't change when you go home. It doesn't change for our people in our community. That's the only way you can get this done. But we can kick ass on this thing. But you need support. You need help. You need people to rally with. You need theme. You need you need attitude. You need approach. All that stuff to get it done. So yeah, I know that they're worn, but I can't hear that right now. There ain't no time to let up. So that's how I feel about it. I would tell them exactly the same thing if they were standing in front of me right now.
Jackie?
Hey, Pete, you addressed it on the radio, but how would you evaluate the rookie class that you had and the production they were able to give you on the field?
Yeah, I really liked the group. I thought that they just found a way to be a factor and help us out. Their spirit was really good. They were led well by their teammates, and I say that because their attitude was consistent. They made it through. There was no, freshman dip or anything, in first time around. We played 17 games, and these guys hung throughout the whole thing. There's future, there's future to the group from this point. We haven't seen Darryl Taylor yet. Like I mentioned, he practiced with us for the first time, and he's going to be a real bright spot. Stefan Sullivan is going to be a bright spot when we get him back too. Colby Parkinson, you haven't seen much of, but really was impressive to us and is going to be a big factor in the tight end spot as a catcher and a blocker. A tremendous target, really smart kid. Alton did great. Jordan Brooks was the highlight of it all. I thought he had the best season to contribute of all the guys, and he should have, with where we picked him. But he came through beautifully and is going to be a big factor. DJ Dallas had a big impression too, how he contributed in the teams and all the support group that he did. And remember, he was carrying the ball for us in the middle of the season. So it was a really good group. And of course Damian Lewis, the steadiest of all the guys, did the most, had the biggest contribution. That he played every game. And this guy's he's a championship kid. He's really smart. He's really tough. It's not too big for him. He's going to have a great career. So this is a really good group, and they'll help more next year. They'll be a bigger factor next year.
Bob?
Yeah, Pete, how would you assess Russell's season, just, all of it from game 1 to game 17? And
Yeah, gosh, he was smoking early, with all of we were just on fire. We scored all those points early in the season. They really couldn't slow us down. And it was almost lost that it was just so consistently good. And then as we got down the stretch, it got hard, and the games got hard. We tightened down some to make sure that we kept the games in control, knowing who we were playing against, the style of teams that we were playing. You play the Rams twice, Washington, the Niners, all those teams have, the Giants all have great defenses, and the challenges. They all played very similar style of play, and so that you saw our style of play really got minimized some, that we can't let happen. I will share this with you, that we have to run the ball better, and not even better, we have to run it more, and that's we have to dictate what's going on with the people that we're playing, and that's one of the ways to do that. And I know the fans aren't real jacked about hearing that, but Russ knows it too. We need to be able to knock those guys into the scheme that we want to throw at, and which was happening more early in the season, and so we took full advantage of it.
Michael Sean?
Hey, Pete, I know you're like the whole boss of this whole thing, and but in terms of like accountability within the building, are there people who can get in your ear and just tell you the truth about stuff? And if so, who are those people?
That's a good question. I have always gauged loyalty based. I mean, my guys are totally loyal in the way you would understand the word that they support, and they're positive and all that. But the true loyalty is the people that will tell you what you need to hear when you might not want to hear it. And I'm going to really miss Brendan not being part of our club, because he and Nate have been really big factors, because they'll tell me stuff that other guys won't tell me, and so they've always been really instrumental. And moving forward, that's gonna, I'm gonna miss something there. But Johnny is a really good. John and I, we go nose to nose on all our stuff, and he gets recommendations from his side of the world, from the personnel side of it, and we just keep banging away at it. But I would say I always need more help. I need to be coached up just like everybody else, and over the years, I have lost a couple of guys that have been. Carl Smith was a guy that was, Taylor would tell me anything. He was awesome. And I demanded it of him because he knew the truth and he needed to speak to me. So I have lost a few guys like that, and it's something I'm looking at.
Because of how long they've been here and how well they've played, do some players like Bobby and Russell fall in that category
Sure.
as well, or no?
Yeah, no, we have a relationship based on years of being together, where I call on them. I call on my guys, and I want to hear from Dwayne. I want to hear from KJ and Bobby and Russ and the guys that have been around here, because we've been through so much together. I mean, that is not an authority deal. It's a comrade deal, you know. We're in this together, and you know, I need their help, and they need my help, and so we're trying to compete together. That's it goes back to me. Really comes out as a competitive issue, you know. If you don't want to hear the truth, you don't want to hear the hard stuff, then you ain't competing, you know. And so I'll go wherever I got to go to get it.
Ben?
Kind of two questions. First of all, what do you think is the next step for DK Metcalf, and then also just taking Jamal Adams' entire season with you guys? Just how would you assess the impact he was able to have with you?
Okay, DK is going to continue to grow. He's just tapping into it, you know. And it'll come from consistency. It comes from consistency in his blocking, which he's a monster, you know, factor. He'll grow in the finesse part of running his routes and getting open in this field and the sense of spacing and positioning and all of that. He has all of those things that he can excel at. He can excel at everything, and so it's just like it's a palette, you know, that he can draw from so many different areas. He's just going to keep pushing. The great thing about DK is that it's so important to him, and he cares so much, and he'll work so hard. Just so grateful that he made it through the season healthy so that he can have a great off season again. So many of our guys walk out of here, you know, and not limp out of here, and that's a really positive thing for the future. And DK's one of those guys that will you know, will grow from that. So anyway, he's got a ton of things that he's going to get better at. Jamal had an incredible role in this season. The juice that he brought, the competitiveness, the attitude of toughness, you just couldn't miss it. He was banged up a good part of the season. He was hurt, you know, and he played really hurt in this last game, and he found a way to do it. And we thought it would be better. There was a question, you know, is he going to be able to play effective enough to let him play? But his will was so strong, and he just didn't want to. He just would be denied on it, and I wanted him to be part of it. You know, but he had to struggle through some plays in this game, as you see when you watch closely. His toughness is just undeniably there. I mean, he is unbelievably. You know, he might have self-proclaimed the warrior mentality or whatever he said about himself. That's the truth. That's what he lives up to, and that's what he is. So he's a great player. We got to keep his shoulders healthier. We got to pump him up, get him built up. He's going to have surgery for a labrum issue that happened last week, and going to get his fingers fixed. He's got some work to do. He's one of the guys that gets out of here, and he's got a lot of stuff to take into account before he gets back. But what a great addition to the team.
Joe?
Pete, just to follow up on Ian's question, can you confirm or not that your coordinators will be back next year? Or is that still
Joe?
under review?
I don't talk about stuff like that, and it's not even. It's disrespectful for me to even address those questions. I'm not gonna. You know, I don't. We're gonna figure out what we need to do to get better, and just like we always do. And I love my guys. I love the way they've worked and the dedication and all that they brought. And so I'm counting everybody coming back. There's our coaches are getting calls all over the place. There's all kinds of things going on. I don't know what's going to happen. Guys are involved with jobs that you don't know about, and there's all kinds of things. I got to wait and see what happens. I don't know exactly how it's going to go, so we'll just wait.
And then with the emphasis on needing to run the ball more next season, try to word this as clearly as possible. Do you need to run the ball more because Russell regressed in the second half, or did Russell potentially regress because he didn't have an effective enough running game?
I appreciate the sensitivity, Joe. It's really a football thing. It's a scheme thing, and I want to see if we can run the ball more effectively to focus the play of the opponents and see if we can force them to do things like we'd like them to do more, like we have been able to do that in the past. That doesn't mean we're going to run the ball 50 times a game. It means we need to run the ball with direction and focus and style that allows us to dictate the game. And so, you know, I mean, I'm just frankly, I'd like to not play against 2 deep looks all season long next year. And so we have to be able to get that done. It's not just the running game. It is the style of passes that will help us some, but it is we have to get after it a little bit differently. So as it unfolded in the end of the season, it became really obvious. In the last 4 or 5 games, it became really obvious. And remember, I don't mind winning 20-9. I don't mind winning 17-14. I want to win controlling the game. That means we don't give them the football. We gave them the football a couple times in this game, and it was the difference. It was the difference again. If we don't throw the interception for the touchdown play, the great play that he made, and we don't give him the ball on the 40-yard line or something on the punt thing, we would have been slugging it out right to the end, just like you would have loved it. And unfortunately, we couldn't quite control all the variables.
Brady?
Sensitively, he responds.
Hey, Pete, you talked a little bit after the game about kind of along the lines of offensive adjustments. You were talking about how you needed to do a better job of taking what was there when defenses started playing you differently, if I understand what you're saying correctly. Could you help us understand that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's just not like we tried to go downtown on these guys 3 or 4 times in the game just because we want to see if we can get them and to force the issue, try to create the explosive play that makes the difference. And you're going up against it when they're laying back, but it doesn't mean we can't execute. Russ found a way on the movement on DK. He had the post route to DK that we just got hit on just as he was throwing the football that would have got him. Those plays, the explosive plays dictate your scoring opportunities, and so we got to look forward to them. But around that, we got to make sure that we're efficient. And against really good defenses, you have to be efficient with the football, and that means we got to complete 70% of our passes in this game and run the ball for 140 or 50 yards. And if we do that, then we will have made enough progress. We'll be available for the opportunities. Let's not forget, and I don't like bringing it up again because it's a sore subject for all of us. But third downs got us. We were 3 for 15 or something in the game, and that got us. And that's not good enough. And that's one of the primary areas that will allow us to run the ball more. You convert, you get more chances, and so we have to go back, and third down has got to be better. We have been Paul earlier cited the numbers. We're right in the middle of the league. We need to be better than that, and Russ is good enough to be better than that. Our scheme is good enough. Tyler, DK, we need to mix the throwing game on third down. We need to mix our run game on third down so that we don't we don't have to leave the field. We need to stay out there. Leave us out there, we're dangerous, and so. That's a really specific area of the game. It's running the football more effectively to control the scheme, and it's third down play. If you really want to nail it for, okay, that's where Pete thinks he needs to go in this offseason, as well as continue to get better on D.
And a follow-up on Jamal, you said he needs the left shoulder surgery and surgery on his fingers. Does he need surgery on his other shoulder?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Greg?
Hi, Pete.
Hey.
You mentioning, I think, in November that the need to be adaptable and change and be better adapted. Why didn't that happen, and whose responsibility is that?
I take responsibility for that, Greg. We needed to shift gears more abruptly, and we know the potential that we have in exploding and getting the ball down the field with our guys and all that, and we just wanted to keep thinking we could get back to it, because it's such a big part of our attack. Russ is so good at throwing the ball down the field, and so I felt like we lingered in that, the kind of the glow of the first half of the season, as we needed to adjust a little bit. And we didn't do it well enough. We didn't do it fast enough, to feel better about it. We won our last 4 games, so I know how that happened, and I'm pleased with how that happened. This game, we didn't block them well enough to continue to get it done, unfortunately, and so it's just unfortunate. But that's adapting. I'm saying, we have to make sure that you don't get stuck. You can get stuck in running the football too much. You can get stuck on throwing the football. You can get stuck on how you throw the football and all that. And so we just have to be more flexible. It's why balance is so important, so that you have what you need when it's time to go to it. I think we weighted ourselves out of balance early in the year. It was so attractive throwing the football because Russ was 75%, and we're rolling and we're scoring, tons of points, and it was fun. We liked it. We got lured into it a little bit. Running backs went down. Remember that when that happened, and then we got out of kilter a little bit, and then coming out of that, we never got as balanced as we needed to be. I can't tell you. I can't tell you guys any more than that. I'm telling you everything I can help you with, and there's some stuff I can't go to, but that's really what it is. And keep asking so I can make it clear to you.
But your resolve to run more next year, does that make Chris Carson the biggest priority of the offseason?
No, not necessarily. Chris is a huge priority. I mean, we'd love to have him back. But running, let me make sure I don't overdo this thing with the running more thing. We need to run more with focus and direction and count on it a little bit differently than we did. It isn't going to be, like I said, it ain't going to be 50 runs a game. We're not doing that. I don't want to do that. I want to explode with the throwing game. But we need to dictate. We need to dictate the way we're being played and better, and see if we can do that.
Art?
Pete, to keep going on the theme here.
We might as well. Let's just pound the hell out of it. Let's go.
Glad you're willing to take the hit. You talked earlier this morning about the causes of some of the offensive problems with being the additional sacks and getting in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 penalties. And you also talked about the running game not being as effective as it was. Those are what happened. But why was it not possible to make the adjustments to avoid the regression?
Well, it's a regression in result and in observation, but remember, I'm telling you that we played differently. We played the games differently to win the games. And so, I mean, that's 4 weeks, and don't count the Jets game because that was different. We got way out ahead in that one. But was it the Giants before that? The Giants right before the Jets? Giants then the Jets? Is that how that worked? Yeah. Well, the Giants game was a hard game for us, and we didn't adapt well in that game, and we thought we were going to be able to do things that really we weren't capable of in that game for whatever reason. And so that's kind of where the style of play went in that direction. Teams were playing 2 deep looks is really what it amounts to, and we didn't chase them out of it. You can chase them out of it by beating them in their 2 deep looks, or you can chase them out by running the football and drawing them up. And we didn't get that accomplished, and that's what's frustrating to me. But we were still trying. We weren't trying to score a few points. We weren't trying to score 20 points in the game. We were trying to score 40. But we just didn't get it done. And so we needed to turn the corner. And that's why I feel like I need to help our coaches do a better job of that and force the issue and more so. And I feel like I have a factor in there, and I got to be a more contributing factor than I was.
I guess that's probably the point. Is that why from week to week couldn't that be correctable?
Yeah. Again, I'm trying to tell you that we weren't trying to change the game, dramatically at the end of the season and try to score 40 points. That's the only way to win. We're going to win the football game by taking care of the ball and playing great defense, which we were able to do, and stay out ahead of it. And then if we needed to win at the end, we would. That's how we would do it. And it was just a different. We were adapting to the opponents, and the game style changed a little bit. That's why it felt more like yesteryear. It felt like we went back a little bit. Well, it was because of the what we were up against. Now, you guys might not agree with what I'm saying, that these guys are really good on defense, but we're looking at the film and we're evaluating these guys. That's how we saw it. Maybe we should have seen it different, but it worked out pretty good. And that's why we got a banner on the frickin' wall up here, and we won a division and all, and so I'm happy with that. But now when it hits in the last game and it looks like it again, well, we happened to play a freaking defense that was awesome, and we couldn't keep them from being their factor. Their factor was Aaron coming off the edge and Floyd coming off the edge and getting after us. We couldn't counter that with what we did, and we didn't block them very well. And we needed to block them better and try to stay away from their factor. See, what you want to do is you don't want them to be able to be strong at what they're good at. You want to neutralize that. You want to make them look normal and keep their factor at bay. And we didn't do that. And we thought we would block them better than we did. And that's why we went about it like we did, and it wasn't enough.
Nico?
Okay, let's get this thing wrapped up because I'm just saying the same stuff to you over and over. So ask me a different question.
Okay. Here there, Pete. I was wondering how much. Let me try to phrase this correctly. At the end of the season, perhaps the team played some offenses that maybe had a little bit of struggles. How much do you think that maybe the defensive uplift might have been disguised by some of those offenses that you were playing at the end of the season, and maybe you didn't get to see some of the things you could have been better at?
Well, I appreciate how you're asking that, Nico. Yeah, the offenses weren't all real dynamic at the end. They were hurt, they were hurting too. This season was all about injuries, and as you go through it, maybe more than ever. And teams didn't have all their guys, and so we tried to take advantage of that as best we could, and I thought we did. You can only play the team that's out there. And the teams that we played really well against. Our scheme improved immensely during the course of the season. It did. We got better. We got more accountable, more consistent. We knocked down the explosive plays. We played the running game really well. I mean, it was so many things. We rushed the passer. Like, you guys never would have thought we'd rush the passer like this. You never thought this was going to happen. Not one of you, except for Jen. Jen was talking about she could see it coming. But all the rest of you guys could not ever have imagined that we could rush the passer. And I don't know where we wound up, but we had like 3 sacks at least and a bunch of pressures all the way through the last 7 or 8 games of the season, and it was just, we were on fire with it. Well, we got better. You can't that just doesn't just happen. That wasn't luck. Guys tied together. They played together. Kenny called it right. He used his guys properly, and the coverage guys did a marvelous job. Really, DJ had a fantastic addition when he came in and played great for us at right corner, and all of those factors did come to life. We watched the team struggle to find their offenses against us. They knew what we were doing. We weren't trying to fool them as much as just trying to outplay them, and we watched them try to struggle to find their game. The Rams didn't throw the ball very well, and nobody threw the ball very well at us, throughout the second half of the season, and that had to do with the rush. But it had to do with the guys on the back end too. So we made a big improvement. But I do say, Nico, you're right that a lot of the offenses were not the big high-flying offenses. But we can only play who we played, and it's hard to keep those points down now. Everybody can move it, so.
Hey,
Tim.
question, real quickly, I'm sorry. It just in terms of Carlos Hyde, what do you see out of him, and his playing style, intangibles? How does that kind of look into what you want to do in the future in the run game?
I really like Carlos. Carlos and Chris really, they're the kind of the epitome of hard ball running guys. And they bring you attitude. They bring you a connection to the physical part of the game the way we love it. And so both those guys are terrific additions. We didn't get to see Rashad get going this year, but he made it back, and so he's going to get some. He's still got work to do. Rashad still has work to do to get full go. But when those 3 guys are running for us, that's a pretty dynamic group, and we're really excited about that. So yeah, Carlos is right in there. He's one of our guys.
Tim?
I'd love to have him back. We're trying to get him to come back.
Pete, what's the long-term prognosis for Marquis, Blair, and Bruce Irvin and recovery from their injuries?
Yeah, both those guys have long returns. They're going to be long returns for him. Bruce went back in for additional surgery a few weeks back that he needed. First surgery needed some support, and he's come out of that really well. But he's behind because of that. Marquis is flying in his return. His attitude is extraordinary. He's doing great, and he should be a big factor. This is a great football player. I'm so excited about this guy. He was looking so good when we had positioned him in the right spot. He was going to play right up in there. He'd have played all year long, right? He played so much. So hopefully we'll get him back, but his return is scheduled. He should be back by camp and all that and be ready to go. Fortunately, the injury was early enough in the year.
And then how would you assess KJ's season with the position switch, and how do you see a role for him moving forward if he chooses to come back?
Yeah, I love the way he played. I talked to him yesterday about it. How kind of chuckling about how this all happened. We started him as an outside linebacker, and that's what I pictured him playing early on. And then he asked if he could take a shot at playing inside, and I went through this big. I can remember it so clearly. I went home that night and thinking about, should we move KJ inside, give him a shot to play there. And I got to thinking about this 6'4" guy, 250-something pound guy being our middle linebacker. That was way back in the day, That would have been a really cool thing to have. And I was thinking, going back to some great linebackers we'd seen in the history and all that. And so, and he was a really good instinctive inside linebacker. But he's a really good football player. And when we put him back outside, he had a great year. He was a factor all year long in the running game and in the passing game. So many timely plays he made. He had a terrific season. Maybe his best season, So I'm hoping he's coming back and playing for us, and we've got a real clear-cut role for him. It doesn't matter how old he is, how many numbers he's got. It's how he plays, and he played really good.
Masvita.
Hey, Pete, how did your ineffective on first down lead to ineffective on third down?
It does. It depends. Between first and second down, we got to get those third downs where they're third and fives and sixes or less. I remind you guys about our problems on third down, which were so apparent again in this game, are really marred by the third and longs. And we had a stat, and I couldn't remember exactly what it was, how long back it was. We had more third and 11 pluses than anybody in the NFL. Well, that's because of your screw ups on early downs. It's either because you got sacked or because you had a penalty. And when we weren't a penalized team, a highly penalized team, so it hurt us in this game, but that wasn't the factor during the season. It was really just ineffective play on early downs is really what your point is. And yeah, that's a big factor in the consistency. And that's sometimes, I always go back to trying too hard. Sometimes we try so hard to make those big plays that we take some losses. And then the third down, the efficiency gets knocked in the butt. So when we were 3rd and 9 or less, I think we were a top 10 team statistically up until the last couple of games. I don't remember what that is. I think we were 7th or something like that. So we were right in the pocket there, but we had too many third and longs. So you're right. It's because of ineffective early down play.
This simplicity that needs or that leads to execution.
Yeah, that's there's a really big question in football coaching. It's how much is too much. And that means that phrase to me is, can the guys execute really well to stuff you're asking them to do? And the coaches who are enamored with, the next great idea and all of that, as we are, we have to constantly evaluate, can the players execute it well, or is it look good, sound good, but yet they can't play it? Because if they don't play it right, nothing matters. And mistakes are the scourge of this game, and so that's a big issue for us. How much stuff can we do, and what can we do effectively? And in this game in particular, we made some errors on offense that we just haven't made. We didn't run some routes correctly, and there was a couple miscues on protection and things that it just, for whatever reason, it showed up in this game, and it shouldn't have been a part of this game. If it was going to hurt us, and it was, and it did. And so that's why we're so disappointed, because we're better than that.
Corbin.
Hey, Pete, I know after a playoff loss sometimes it's difficult to see the positives, but Cedric Lattimore had not played in an NFL game and stepped up and had 6 tackles for you guys on Saturday. What did you see from him, and what's the prognosis for his future with that defensive line rotation?
Cedric did really well all year long, and he was impressive in our practices the whole season. And we always talked about him being up with the opportunity to rise, and when Jonathan Bullard got questioned, he was questioned about his COVID issues. It gave finally the opportunity for Cedric to pop up. Jonathan was not. He tested positive, but it was a false positive, so he was not our one guy of the year, as it turned out. But he missed this game because of that, and it gave Cedric the chance, shoot, he was all over the field. He got knocked around, and he looked like a newbie out there, at times. But he really plays hard, and he's an active guy, so he's a really positive for the future. He'll be right in the middle of competing for. I would think he'll improve a ton.
Okay, last two, Matt and then Curtis.
Hey, I can go longer. I can last longer than that now. If they want to keep going, I'm going to wear them out here. Greg, wear your butt out. Okay, what else you got?
Pete, on the radio, you said that you were fighting the play call on that 4th and 1.
What kind of play call did I say it was?
I think you said you were fighting the play call.
Yeah, I didn't. I wanted the play that we wound up with, and so it just took a little bit longer, and it forced the issue a bit. We jumped off sides. We screwed it up, and would have been a nice shot to make it. It wasn't the wrong idea to have to kick it, and that's why we had some time there, because there was an injury before that, and we talked our way through it. And then when the play came up and we were going for it, we could have done better with the timing of it. We didn't snap the ball on the cadence, so we screwed it up.
And I'm just wondering.
That really was not the big. I know you guys want to make a big deal out about it. That was not the big factor in any of that. We didn't execute the snap count, and so we blew it. And blew our chance to make it. We might not have made it and given them the ball right there too. That could have happened.
Did you have thoughts on the play calling strategy in general in that game?
I just wish we would have got the ball out quicker. I wish Russ would have got the ball out quicker when he had his opportunities, and when that wasn't happening, I wish we would have given him more chances to force the ball out quicker. And that's all. That was part of it. That's a big second guess watching the game, but that was really, we had planned to do it, and the routes that we threw and didn't convert for one reason or the other, whether we didn't catch it or we didn't throw it quite right, we got a little rush. That was the difference in the game. We needed to get the ball out quick, and against that group. I mean, that's no rocket science right there. They're pretty good.
Curtis?
Pete, quick personnel one. With Philip Dorsett and Quentin Dunbar, how are those guys physically, and what's your kind of outlook for those guys for maybe coming back?
I'm trying to get both those guys back. Philip might have made it back if we'd played 3 more weeks. He might have had a chance. He was that close. I talked to Phil yesterday. We're just like throwing this season out. It didn't work out for him, and bring him back. Let's start all over again with all the same high hopes. He's a really interesting player now. He's got great speed. He's really bright. He's really talented. We love the kid, and so he just didn't get to go. He had an old foot injury that had bothered him for years, but never really manifested, and then it just got too bad, and we had to get it fixed up. But he's fixed. He knows that. He's had great recovery process working for him, and he should be back. And then we said Quentin. Quentin had surgery. He got his knee cleaned up. It was clear what he needed to get done. When they got in there, it was not major stuff, but it was stuff that was bothering him. He had lingering old knee kind of thing. And so we're talking to him. We'd like him to come back.
And as you guys do your off-season diagnostics here, what are some questions you want to answer yourself about the team this year, and areas that you still need to find out the root of what the areas of the team and stuff like that?
Okay. Kind of personnel-wise, we're going to put together this pass rush again and see what happens when Darryl comes back and enters into it. We'd like Benson to come back with us and be part of it. Counting on Carlos to be part of it. Elevate our opportunities to get Alton involved more. Alton was really good on the left side. I'd like to get him some more rushes over there. That's the main focus of is to make sure that this pass rush comes back intact, and when we can grow from there. We saw a really good play inside, particularly late in the year from Jay Reed. He had a really good finish to the season. It was really a factor, and that's because he's feeding off the rush from the guys outside, and it's as it has to work in complement. So we'd like to really work hard at getting that done. See Jordan develop, continue to develop. He's a fine football player, and he's really going to be a big factor. See how we can contribute with him. Get Marquis back, which is a big deal for us. I mean, he's such a big factor to get him back in action. To add with the guys we had, Diggsy and the way Jamal played. Wow, it's an exciting group there. We'll have some work to do on the corner spots because we've got some free agency going on there. With Shaquille, we got to keep him. We'd love to keep him with us. And then Quentin's one of the guys, and DJ came through too. So there's a lot of real positive things on the defensive side we're excited about. Good. I'm just going to do the whole wrap up here. This will be the last question. Okay. On the other side of the ball, we have a lot of firepower. The receivers played great this year and did a marvelous job. Freddie Swain, we didn't mention him earlier, but Freddie Swain had a big impact on this season. He just contributed early on, but to go along with Tyler and DK, and then Philip gets back in action. David had his best season as well. The running back position is loaded up. Would really like to see if we can develop a third down factor from the running back spot, a guy that can really feature there more so to help us on the third downs. Really fired up about Colby Parkinson helping us at the tight end spot. With this will be better next year than he was. 2 straight years of major surgery, to overcome. He'll be better. He's such a great worker. Jacob Hollister too, I'm going to talk to Greg again, see what he's doing. But that's a good spot. Brandon Shell, the offensive line it's a good spot for us. I'm hoping that Dwayne will have a great offseason. He goes into the offseason somewhat healthy, and he's not in need of surgery at this point, and that's a big deal for him, so he can have a great offseason. We need to make sure that the inside 3 guys we grow and get better there. Damian is going to be better. Posick had his first chance of starting at center. He'll get better, and then the left guard spot with Mike and Jordan and Fuller and those guys, we need to improve there and all. So the personnel-wise, I'm really excited. Look at the kickers, man. The kickers were phenomenal this year. And I mentioned Jason Meyer. You guys, I didn't talk about him at all because he had that streak going, so we just stayed away from it. But what a great season he had, and he's still in the middle of it. He's just in the middle of this run. So, I mean, Mike's a great player too. So. DJ, we saw DJ Reed as a returner, and we all felt that the spark was there, and boy, he hit another one. He's going to be another big factor back there, and however we use him. So there's just so many freaking positives, The areas that I really want to get better at is I want to make sure that we get really efficient in the throwing game. Really efficient. Russ hovered right around 70% all year. I've always said to him he's going to complete 70% of his passes one of these years. Almost had it this season, but I want that kind of efficiency coming back next year because he's capable of it, and that means we got to tighten things down and make sure that we really can have the flexibility we need for all the games that we play. If you guys need more than this stuff, I don't know I can't help you. See ya. We're out here.